And so I'm very, very pleased that we have the representative of the United Arab Emirates to the International Renewable Energy Agency, IRENA, which is based here, headquartered here in Abu Dhabi. Excellency, you are the representative of your country to that major organization, Dr. Nawal Al-Hosany. Perhaps you could tell us, to start with, we had a year ago a fundamentally important COP taking place at Dubai, where expectations were huge, and I think the results were tremendous in many aspects. So, and one of the commitments at COP was to multiply by 3 the deployment of renewable energy sources. And so perhaps you could tell us, in your view, and especially as you follow and as you participate to the governance of this important organization that aims to foster global renewable deployment worldwide, and it has a global membership, unlike the IEA, right? So perhaps you could tell us how you see the perspectives, what needs to be done, and what makes you optimistic at the end, and where we all need to do a bit more of work. So the floor is yours.
Well, thank you very much. First, thank you for having me here. It's such an honor to be among such esteemed speakers and to participate in a very, very important conversation. And the topic is, as we just mentioned, is extremely critical at the time we are living. I also am very proud to be contributing to the diversity aspect of this conference. I heard I'm only the 3rd female speaker today, so I feel extremely embarrassed on behalf of you guys, but I'm proud of that. Thank you. I'm a member of a very important community, which is, as you mentioned, we hosted here a year ago, COP28. But we are host of IRENA, and being a host of IRENA puts huge, responsibility, but also optimism, because if we as a world agree to create such an organization, so we understand the importance of diversification of our energy sources. IRENA, even before COP28, in their World Energy Transition Outlook, they outlined the importance of renewables in the race towards basically maintaining our path in line with 1.5 degrees. And that was extremely important and became one of the reasons that at COP28 presidency, we did announced that very ambitious target, which is tripling renewables and doubling efficiency by 2030. And that target, as you mentioned, made its way as Article 28 in UAE consensus. Now, what does IRENA do, and what do we need to do as member state to make this happen? So IRENA in its report was actually not only by COP28, but also by the G20, was assigned to track the progress on where we are. So 133 countries signed that pledge of tripling renewables and doubling energy efficiency, and IRENA now is monitoring this progress. And the first report was launched in pre-COP29 a few months ago. And of course, we know that we are not on the right track to achieve, because according to IRENA numbers, and excuse me if I'm going to refer to my notes, in 2023, you mentioned why I'm optimism. In 2023, we added 473 gigawatt of renewables. So the total capacity that we have now is 3,865 gigawatt. But we need, by 2030, to align with our 1.5, we need 11.174 gigawatt. So the gap is quite hard. So if we should be adding 1,044 gigawatts per year for us to achieve this target. So although we are very far from where we need to be, but we are definitely moving in the right direction. Maybe a little bit slower than what we should, but I guess once we know and once we see the numbers, we are gonna, I'm optimistic that we are gonna correct correct path, because to your point, the fastest growing sector is renewables. Technology is advancing, cost is dropping, and we see more and more solutions into that. Your question about what IRENA does to keep us all on the right track. In the report, the tracking report, there are five pillars that we all need to make sure that we pay enough attention to for us to achieve the targets. Of course, and it goes without saying, the most important is finance. We need to finance energy transition, and we need to scale up and expand this distribution of finance. The supply chain, skills, and capacity is extremely important, because we definitely need a skilled workforce to achieve the energy transition. The infrastructure and the system operation that basically some will require modernization, some will require expansion, and other will require smart operation. And this is where IRENA and platforms like these play an important thing. The fourth pillar is international cooperation. We cannot, not one country can do that alone, and that's why the tripling target is not on country per country, but it's a global target, and we need to globally work towards achieving that. And one of the most important pillars, which I think this platform can contribute to successfully or in an important way, is the policy and regulation. We, as a host country, but also as a member state, we keep supporting IRENA to achieve and advance and support countries in those three pillars. We support with finance through some of our platforms that we launched with IRENA, such as Energy Transition Accelerator Finance Platforms, ETAF. We also funded IRENA to help countries, 20 developing countries, develop their NDCs, and many other initiatives that we do. So NDCs is very important, because NDC 3 is, as some of you may be aware, are due by 2025, and that is going to help us check where we are and help us in tracking our global stocktake.
Mm-hmm. Many thanks for these information. When I listen to you, I think it's very, very important to underline that you have also identified the fact that we need the entire value chain, and actually it's a battle for the entire electricity system that has a lot of components in there. And of course you need access to finance, but you need the grids, you need the power, electronic, etc. And of course the skills and the manforce, and that is lacking in many countries. So clearly these bottlenecks need to be addressed. Can I ask you, so what's exactly the situation in your country? You have, of course, a growing energy demand, especially electricity demand, not least for, of course, air conditioning, water desalination. You have a strong economic growth, manufacturing, expansion, etc., etc. So how are the renewables being developed in your country, and are you confident that you will be able to ramp up fast?
I think the one thing that we have, and many times we miss it, which is we have an incredibly visionary leadership. Our journey when renewables started, when it wasn't even fashionable, when people were not even looking at renewables, we created Master Initiative back in 2006. Today, we have 3 of the largest, lowest cost solar plants in the world. So our journey with renewables started and much earlier when we used to call it some of the technologies that we adapted were, and Frank remembers that very well, it was bleeding edge, not even cutting edge technologies, but most of those have now materialized and became even commercially viable and very competitive. We are extremely confident that we are on the right track to our own tripling targets, which is basically because of our commitment now. As in 2022, our installed capacity was 3.1 gigawatt. Mainly solar, clearly, but by 2024, we have already doubled this to 6 gigawatts, and by 2030, our aim is to achieve 14.2 gigawatts. So our overall target of clean energy is almost 20 gigawatts, including 5.6 gigawatts of nuclear power that we are already investing in. So looking into all our stakeholders, everybody's aligned towards that target, and we have very strong companies. I think you just mentioned as you were coming in, we have Taqa, we have ADNOC, we have Masdar. They are all collaborating together in different ventures to accelerate the process of advancing renewables, but also new technologies such as hydrogen production for national and international. So, with Masdar in 18 years, which is a very young age for a company like Masdar, we are now in 40 countries. They're installed in 6 continents, and their combined capacity is 31.5 gigawatt worldwide. So when it comes to renewables, to be honest, I'm not very concerned. The only thing that maybe we are a little bit concerned about, and not only, I guess, here, but globally, is energy efficiency, because it looks like it's really the orphan. Nobody really looks at it in a systematic way. And this is why we at the Ministry of Energy and Infrastructure announced we are going to create an alliance, which is Global Energy Efficiency Alliance, to drive, in collaboration, hopefully with IRENA and other partners, to drive efforts in energy efficiency through, again, knowledge sharing, capacity, building capacity, but also having the right network in place to work on that.
Mm-hmm. Dr. Al-Hosany, thank you also indeed for reminding that it's not all supply side driven.
Demand
Energy policy has to be balanced, and in many countries in the world the demand side aspect is neglected for various reasons, but it plays a critical role. Thank you so much. May I turn now to, that deserves an applause.
Thank you.